these figures vary from person to person, but the point is that somewhere along the lines you establish them as an authority figure in your life. And you kind of get in, I think just out of habit, you expect them, if they're there, they're going to be the ones kind of taking care of things and handling things. They're going to be the authority figure, and what that entails is that, at least in my opinion, when I was kind of coming up, right, I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna have the answers. They're gonna have the answer. I'm gonna have a question. I'm gonna go to them. They're gonna have an answer. Okay, or just the expectation that, like, yeah, they're gonna be able to, like, handle this situation. Okay, this very early on, it became clear to me that that was not the case. Okay, that people I thought had the answers, and this isn't bad. Just to be clear, this is something that we're all doing to some extent. But the people I thought that had the answers were just winging it. You know what I mean? They were just winging it. And even more than that, sometimes they weren't actually acting off of reason. They were reacting emotionally. They were reacting because, they felt some sort of way about the situation or the people involved. And as soon as I started to realize that, I very quickly, oh man, no offense, but I started to understand, like, hey, yeah, I can do better than this. Casual Exchanges podcast, where most of the time we are going to try to walk through thinking about novel, everyday, normie problems. But this is going to be a lot like those super rare coffee beans that they pull out of, like, elephant shit. Okay, well, sometimes you get those rare coffee beans. Other times it's just a pile of elephant shit. Welcome in. Welcome back. Let's see if we can find one more thread before the NyQuil kicks in and I fall asleep at my computer. I should probably edit that out. All right, let's see if my voice even holds up, because honestly, it was starting to go on the last one. I'm fighting off some variation of the plague, so it feels a lot like I've been deep throating a sandpaper dildo for a couple days. Not gonna lie. Let's see. Why is this happening to me? It could be because you make poor choices. This is crazy. How did you find out your partner was cheating? 500 upvotes, 900 comments. Jesus, why do we want to talk about this? Is this real life? Anyone became parents in early 20s? How was your life, and was that a planned decision? Is that a real thing? Do people plan? Why the fuck would you plan to have kids in your early 20s? I'm not judging. I'm legit fucking curious. What's a moment that made you realize you were officially grown? Not just by age, but emotionally or mentally. This is a really interesting one, and I kind of wish this, just to be clear, this is Reddit. I don't know that there's going to be anything interesting in this thread. But for me, I think there is this thing when you are still relatively young. There are people in your life who have been around long enough to where you kind of expect them to handle things, right? Depending on like what role they've played in your life, but you have authority figures that get built up in your life. Maybe aunts, maybe uncles, maybe teachers, maybe moms or dads, maybe, grandma or grandpa. These figures vary from person to person, but the point is that somewhere along the lines you establish them as an authority figure in your life. And you kind of get in, I think just out of habit, you expect them, if they're there, they're going to be the ones kind of taking care of things and handling things. They're going to be the authority figure, and what that entails is that, at least in my opinion, when I was kind of coming up, right, I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna have the answers. They're gonna have the answer. I'm gonna have a question. I'm gonna go to them. They're gonna have an answer. Okay, or just the expectation that, like, yeah, they're gonna be able to, like, handle this situation. Okay, this very early on, it became clear to me that that was not the case. Okay, that people I thought had the answers, and this isn't bad. Just to be clear, this is something that we're all doing to some extent. But the people I thought that had the answers were just winging it. You know what I mean? They were just winging it. And even more than that, sometimes they weren't actually acting off of reason. They were reacting emotionally. They were reacting because, they felt some sort of way about the situation or the people involved. And as soon as I started to realize that, I very quickly, oh man, no offense, but I started to understand, like, hey, yeah, I can do better than this. I clearly, for some reason, have a threshold for situations that allows me to kind of step outside of it and play a better kind of mediator for certain, kind of high tension situations and things like that. And so I just kind of started to kind of step up into that role because I realized like, oh, hey, all of these other people, they get really emotional about things. And that doesn't always help you find solutions. So I think I'm just, anytime I see that happen, I'm going to step in the middle and try to cool things off and see if we can't find a solution. And I mean, for me, it seems to work. In some cases, I'm able to de-escalate things. And if I'm not, it's like, all right, well, you guys fucking have at it then. I'll be doing something else. But yeah, that was a very long-winded answer to this. All right. This dude spelled my name wrong. He's known me for like 15 years. It's okay. He's never had to spell my name, but that's funny. Growing up poor. What? I saw another one. Oh, what's one thing you find normal that society finds weird? Licking feet. I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. Totally kidding. Let me clear that feed finder. What are you slowly realizing as you get older? Man, I wish we could really think deeply about this, because I think there is some good insight. We should have good insight as we get older. Okay? That should be the culmination of your experience. Okay? Is some level of wisdom. Okay? And so I don't, it's not clear to me that this is like new. Maybe this is something that's happened, from the beginning of time. But it feels like there used to be a time where, like, the advice that your great grandpa would give you, or your grandpa would be like, well, son, you got to work hard. You got to treat your family right. Okay? And you got to give your word some value. Okay? And don't ever hook up with that chick from Denny's, because she is no good. Totally kidding. Totally kidding. I never did that. But there used to be, like, where they would give you things that seem general, but, like, still somewhat applicable. Like, work hard. Yeah, okay. That seems very general and also very intuitive. Like, yeah, nobody is ever going to tell you to be fucking lazy. Okay? But, okay, work hard. I can do that. Okay, and then it's your job to figure out what to work hard on. Treat your family right. All right, yeah, don't beat my wife and kids. Okay, yeah, I can do that. And then give your word value. All right, don't be a lying piece of shit. Like, yeah, okay, I think I can do that. Okay? And now, what's the shit that we see people in their 30s and 40s saying? I'm never going to be able to buy a home. I can't get a good job, blah, 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 blah. Like, life is never going to get any better. Like, just the most crybaby shit, bro. The most whiny crybaby shit I've ever seen, dude. Like, you used to have motherfuckers that would break their arm on shift and would have to finish out the day because they didn't have sick pay or even health care. Okay? They would splint that shit and be back into work the next day because they had to be. Okay? And now one fucking person falls down the stairs and we need to have safety fucking classes at the office. I'm totally kidding. Halfway kidding. But seriously, I think there has been a potential shift in some of the mentality. And frankly, I don't know what started this rant of mine, but I think it would be pretty interesting to talk about. But I want to finish that with the fact that the generations, if we go back, it is probably always that every generation complains about the following generation. Like, we had it so much harder, you know what I mean? Like, blah, 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 we had to do this shit. And, like, yeah, that's probably true to some extent, but then the new generation takes on different burdens, right? Burdens of a different sort, okay? And so I don't want it to seem like, these people have, like, all this wisdom and all of this shit. You know what I mean? I think in general, people talk shit about the generations following them, and I think that just seems to be like something we've been doing forever. So all those words pretty much say nothing. So sorry. What did you feel the day you retired? I need to find a thread. Why the fuck do my parents act like I can't take care of myself? Can you not take care of yourself? Is there anything that elaborates on this? Jesus. Let's see what he's got. Because I'm doing my fucking best to do stuff during the day when I'm off, I apply for jobs, wash my own clothes, try to save money like my parents want. I don't pay bills yet because they told me to save first, but sometimes it feels like they don't trust me to handle things on my own. Like if I get pulled over, they think I wouldn't know what to do. If I get into a car accident, they act like I'd panic and not call the agent or roadside assistance, even though I was told to do that. Then they worry about random stuff like whether I'd remember to get an oil change Or what would happen if I left the dryer on when leaving, which I've never done. They're concerned I won't know how to handle a mortgage or adult responsibilities in the future, and honestly, I'm just trying to take things one step at a time. Yes, I still play video games, go to church. That's how I stay grounded. That's how I feel peace and escape the chaos of everything. I'm not trying to ignore responsibilities. I'm just trying to figure life out without being overwhelmed and constantly judged. What are the fucking core adult responsibilities I should be focusing on right now? What helped you learn how to handle this stuff when your parents still treated you like a kid? Okay. I'm going to try to be a little even-mannered with this one because I don't. This kid's obviously young, so I don't just want to shit on him. But also, it's just fun to shit on kids. You know what I'm saying? I'm kidding. But, okay. So, first of all, it's not clear to me, okay? If you've never had any adult fucking responsibilities, I don't know why anybody would assume that you can just handle all of them, okay? If you've never paid bills, if you've never gone through an insurance claim, if you've never if you've never gotten into a fucking mortgage, okay? If you've never had to maintain a vehicle, yeah, it's not clear to me that you would know how to do those things, okay? Because just to be clear, I know people who didn't get their oil changed, so much so that it fucked their engine. So there are those people out there, okay? I know people who got into really bad mortgages and lost their home. I know people who got into really bad fucking car loans, okay? And now they're paying out the ass for a car, okay? The dryer thing, that one strikes me as weird. My dryer has a timer. It doesn't just go indefinitely. So I can't think of a situation where it would just run forever and then burn down my house. I don't fully understand that one. Again, playing video games, going to church, totally cool. But again, I think church is only 1 to 2 times a week. So if you're playing the video games the rest of that time, maybe not good. Maybe scale that back. But I don't know. Maybe you're a streamer or something. Maybe not. Again, okay. So I want to. There's nothing wrong with trying to find some semblance of peace, but just understand, like, that's not life ebbs and flows. So you're not always just going to be in this fucking Buddhist monk level of fucking serenity. That's not how it works. I'm just trying to figure out life without being overwhelmed or constantly judged. Okay? The being constantly judged, I wouldn't be overly concerned about. You're young, so in general, people are probably going to assume you're a shithead. I mean, that's what we think of young people, kind of. Is it like, oh yeah, get a load of this fucking guy? You know what I mean? I think it's normal, and to the extent that they're not being colossal douchebags, I think it's fine. Let them think whatever they think. But again, trying to figure a life out. Okay. So it says you're applying for jobs, which makes me think that you don't have a job. Because you said the only thing you do is like wash your clothes. You say you save money, which I guess maybe means you have a job. Again, so I guess let me try to move on to this point. What are the core adult responsibilities I should be focusing on? Yes, being able to hold down a job, being able to start managing your finances. I'm going to have to edit this part out because I just started fucking texting this guy back. How does my phone know this fucking guy's number? That's funny. Interesting. Okay, gonna try to wrap this up quick. What are the fucking core responsibilities I should be focusing on right now? That's a fair question. In general, yeah, trying to hold down a job. Probably start to look for a reliable means of transportation. Get in early on starting to understand your finances. Ask family and friends, and hopefully find somebody who, has at least 3 brain cells dedicated to financial matters. But you may not be able to find that. Honestly, like growing up, my parents didn't have a huge head about their finances. So it's kind of important to try to find somebody. But I mean, there's just so much information out there, like, YouTube, the interweb, stuff like that. I feel like you could stumble upon some shit. And then just in general, it never ceases to amaze me how many people don't realize, like, okay, you make X amount of money. You need to spend less than X. That's your starting point. Okay. And then if you want to get more nitty gritty, you know what I mean? You absolutely can. I mean, I have fucking spreadsheets and a bunch of nerd shit like that nobody else would ever give a fuck about. Okay, but that's the way I like to approach it. So again, it's not clear to me that like your parents kind of ask you about these things. I guess it's like it depends on how they're approaching it. Maybe they're just being parents. Okay, just to be clear, my parents didn't help me with any of that shit. My parents didn't help me with my first fucking my first accident claim. I guess technically the first car accident I was in, but I wasn't the one driving. I don't think I don't know if my parents gave a shit about the way I washed my clothes. My parents definitely didn't tell me how to handle a mortgage. You know what I mean? They didn't give me a whole lot of like that worldly life advice because they were still figuring stuff out too. So like if your parents are willing to give this to you, take what you can while also trying to figure things out for yourself and see what conclusions you come up with that line up with what your parents said and what doesn't. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you're young, you have the benefit to the extent that you don't do something really fucking crazy and fuck up your life. You have the advantage of time. You can spend a couple of years trying things, figuring things out, figuring out like, okay, I don't want to do that. I do want to do this. You know what I mean? And so you can go through a couple of years of trial and error and then come back and be like, I think my parents were right about this. Or, you know what? My parents were absolutely wrong about that. You know what I mean? I can't believe they did that shit. You're going to have some of that too. And I think that's okay. And that's all, folks. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't like the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. That way you can talk shit on my next video too, all right? Have fun. Let's try to do this again sometime.